Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Obviously, this is a very exciting sort of expo being organised by the Australian Electric Vehicle Association. I represent the Victorian branch, and they kindly asked me to come and talk a little bit more about electric vehicles and what's going on in this space and how to choose one and looking at what some of those vehicles that are coming up. Because there's a lot of change happening, there's a lot of new models coming in. It'll be a lot more than just Teslas in next 6 months or so. We've got quite a few of the cars here to see as well. BYD's, Kia's got a few products, MG's and others. So yeah, I'll share a little bit of what's happening in the space and where are things going. So a little bit about me. I write for a publication called The Driven, and it's a free publication, thedriven.io, where we cover everything and anything to do with electric vehicles, what's happening with the charging infrastructure, and helping those that want to make a change to an electric vehicle as easy as possible. And once again, it's free. What we want to do is try and spread as much information about the benefits of electric cars and keep everyone sort of up to speed with what's going on because there's a lot of change. As part of that, I get involved with new car launches. I get to drive a lot of new vehicles, which gives me a good perspective so I can share it with all our readers and others, as well as those in the association on how to pick a car that's sort of right for them and keep a track of all the models. That picture right there you see was taken in China. One of the new brands that's coming into the market called Ziker invited me to go to China and have a look at their manufacturing plants and how they're building cars that are on their way to Australia, and some of them have already landed. China is a pretty interesting place in terms of electric vehicles, and they'll form a bigger part of the electric vehicle mix in our market. We've started pretty low a couple of years ago in terms of electric vehicle sales, but we're sort of getting very close to 220,000 pure battery electric vehicles on our roads. As that's starting to change, more and more brands are seeing that Australian market is ready for new models, and that's what's coming our way as well. With all these new models coming in, it's a lot more affordable to be able to get behind the wheel of an electric car, and it's even more from a pricing point of view. The used electric vehicle market is getting better as well, which means that there's 3 times as many people that buy a used electric car can have access to a variety of vehicles at multiple different price points that are relatively new and are pretty reliable as well, which is not something we've seen in the past because electric vehicles were just so new. So the more electric vehicles that get onto our roads, the new ones, there's more supply of used vehicles as well, making it more accessible for people to get behind the wheel of something that's cleaner to drive, and we don't have to go back to a petrol station to fill up. Looking at sort of what vehicles are popular in our market, Tesla dominates with Model Y and Model 3, but then there's a whole lot more affordable models as well from BYD, MG, and other vehicle brands in the market. What we'll continue to see is as this shift towards EVs continues, we'll have more and more affordable models and new brands that are going to be entering our market. What's interesting in those top selling models list there is that there's, I think, probably 2 Japanese cars on there. The whole list is pretty much dominated by Chinese, Korean, and European brands. And there's a lot more new models and brands coming our way. One was announced last week, and it seems to be every couple of weeks there's a new brand that announces they'll be entering our market. I've covered the car and automotive space for a long period of time, and I've never seen this much change. So it is an exciting time to be part of being in the market for an EV, or just seeing how many new models and vehicles that are coming onto our roads, particularly in late 2024 and early 2025. One thing I quickly touched on earlier was the brands that were coming from China. We're seeing a lot of them already. MG is pretty popular. BYD, which has got they're showcasing their cars at this expo as well. Seem to be doing pretty well in terms of the number of sales. BYD is offering both electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles. So giving you a bit of choice on that front, but with a plug-in hybrid, you still have to go back to a petrol station, which I'm not sure how many of us like to do. So with newer electric vehicles coming into a market that are sort of more on the affordable front, people will really start to see the benefits of going fully electric instead of taking that step to plug-in hybrid and then eventually getting an electric car. So why are Chinese brands different now than what they were back in the day? I think some of you may remember Chery was one of the brands that launched in Great Wall maybe about a decade ago, and they came into the market and pretty much left because nobody wanted to buy them due to the quality of the vehicles, and they were just cheaper vehicles, not so much quality wasn't really there. Now though, it's a very different game. After COVID, the Chinese electric vehicle market is making top electric vehicles that are high quality, and there's more and more of them. For example, brands like Volvo has been making cars for the Australian market out of China for many, many years. So a lot of the Volvos that we see are made there, as well as Polestars. Most Teslas that are on our roads are from there as well, MG, BYD, and there's another 12 brands that are going to be entering our market in the next 12 months doing the same thing, bringing quality electric vehicles to our market at multiple different price points and multiple different body types as well. So not only your SUVs that are pretty popular, but also hatchbacks, sedans, station wagons, electric vans, trucks. So it's an area, there's quite a lot of change that's happening right now. Some of the models I touched on that are either about to land or have already landed. So Xpeng, it's an electric vehicle brand based in China. They've got the G6, which is sort of a competitor to the Tesla Model Y or the Kia EV5 there. They're in the process of getting cars onto our roads, particularly in all different states and territories. So as their first shipment arrives in the next month or so, we'll start to see more of those vehicles on our road as well. Pretty premium, starts at about $55,000, but we'll see a few more of them coming up soon. Leap Motor, that's another Chinese brand that has recently landed in Australia. The difference with Leap Motor, given no one's really heard of it before, is that this particular brand is backed by a company called Stellantis that owns Jeep, Chrysler, and many Maserati and a couple of the other big brands based out of Europe. Stellantis has seen that they can't build electric vehicles quick enough, so they've gone in and bought a big stake in Leap Motor in China, saying you guys are already building electric vehicles. We will help you launch them in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. So that vehicle has just landed. It had its price revealed at $45,000, which for a car that size, it's sort of the size of a Toyota RAV4 or a Tesla Model Y, Kia EV5. We've not seen a car under $50,000 with that sort of mid-sized SUV space that's fully electric, and that's what they've done, which means that there'll be anyone else that has to enter the market with a similar type of car has to price it at that. What this means is once these cars start to get onto our roads, there'll be a few of them that'll end up in the used EV market in the next 12 to 18 months, which means you'll be able to pick up a mid-size electric SUV, possibly cheaper than most petrol and diesel variants, which is a pretty exciting thing because 2 years ago, if anyone said that we'll have electric vehicles that are cheaper than petrol or diesel cars, I would have laughed. But it's happened so quick. And there's another, like I said, 12 brands coming in the next 12 months, which means more competition is only good for consumers and road users like us to be able to drive cleaner electric vehicles. Ziker, I touched on, that's the brand that I went to China with. They are owned by the company called Geely Holdings that owns Volvo, Polestar, and many other brands that are already across the world, particularly here in Australia. So they are being produced in the same factories that Volvo is as well. Very high quality stuff. I've been to their factories being a mechanical engineer. I'm sort of like a kid in a candy shop in these factories, and everything is automated. And there's very few workers. which is quite interesting to see. When you think of car factories, you think all these people trying to assemble cars. A lot of it is done by robots. Smart. Remember this old smart city cars that we used to have? There's quite a few of them that are still running around. Well, Smart has grown in size. These are like smaller SUVs that they're launching now, owned by the same company that owns Volvo, Ziker, Polestar, and the rest. They've also launched, I was at their launch in Byron Bay 2 months ago. Cars can already be purchased across Australia that they're bringing into our market, all fully electric as well. That's a repeat. Let's keep going. MG Cyberstar, that's MG's Halo car. When MG came into the Australian market, they're no longer a fully British brand anymore. That used to have, all the classic cars that they used to make in the UK. SAIC, that Shanghai Automotive Company, purchased them a while ago, and most of the MGs we see on our roads are made in China. They are bringing in their Halo car called the Cyberstar. It's a bit of sort of like a Mazda MX-5, but it's the first electric roadster they claim in our market. So that's also, they revealed the price. It's a bit expensive, $115,000 for an MG. But anyway, they've shown that they can make these cars. Not sure how many they'll sell, but they do have affordable models like the MG4, starting at about $32,000 now, which is cheaper than a Toyota Corolla hybrid. That's a pretty positive things for those that are looking at getting an electric vehicle as well. One of the big things around electric vehicles is charging infrastructure. So a lot of people don't have the confidence to buy one because they feel they won't be able to charge it when they're traveling across Tasmania or other parts of Australia. Charging infrastructure has grown quite rapidly over the last 2-3 years. It's basically doubled in the last 12 months or so. We've got over 1,000 fast charging sites across the country. As a comparison, there's 6,000 petrol station sites, so there's a long way to go. But unlike petrol or diesel cars, which we can't fill up at our homes, you can generally top up an electric car at your home, especially for most daily trips. For when you're hitting the road for a road trip or traveling a bit further, that's when you rely on the fast charging infrastructure. Electric Highway Tasmania, that has a stall behind us, they're investing quite a bit in charging infrastructure across the state. I remember about 2.5 years ago, I landed in Devonport from Victoria, and I hired an electric car, and even 2.5 years ago, I could go from Devonport to Hobart and back in one day. And that was in an electric car at that time. Since then, the range has improved significantly of these electric vehicles. They've become cheaper. There's more charging stations across the state. So that's quite exciting to see. And the growth will continue. With EVs, there's, like I said, more brands coming in, more price points. There's more of shows and expos like this one here today, which means we can get to see what vehicles are in the market, sit in them, try them out, test drive them, and share the benefits that come with owning an electric vehicle. And that growth will continue. We'll have over 250,000 electric cars in the country by the end of this year. There'll be way more in the coming months as these new brands come in, and they're pretty aggressive in terms of their pricing and how much market share they want and how many electric vehicles they'll be bringing into a market. While we're on this topic, how to choose an electric car, we can see there's so many to choose from. I guess starting with what suits our lifestyle. Is it a small runaround? Is it a mid-sized SUV with more space for the family? Is it something we're going to use to tow, caravan or camper trailers with? Is it something we need for work? So is it an electric van or an electric ute? Clearly just depends on the circumstances. But a couple of trends and tips that I can share is, as there's more electric vehicles entering our market, the range in electric cars has improved significantly. So if one of these brands is trying to sell you a car that offers a range of under 350 kilometers, don't look at it. find something else, because there's plenty of options out there for that offer range that are above 350 kilometers today. Another one is charging infrastructure. And when you're on the road, there's a lot of chargers around that you can choose. There's a couple of big companies. ChargeFox and EV Networks is two of the bigger organizations that have public chargers available. So a little bit of research on that, which you can find more information on the Australian Electric Vehicle Association's website, and it's free for everybody to use. On top of, I guess, owning an electric vehicle, I've had one for nearly 5 years now. I've actually got two in the family now, and wouldn't go back, because if you have the ability to charge at home because you have a driveway, or have access to a charging port, can even be a wall plug that we find in most places where people park their vehicles. It's more than enough of what you need to be able to top it up daily. If you do less than 80 kilometers a day, then you can easily live with it without installing anything special in your home. It's just the charger that comes with the car, and there's a couple of companies here that do offer what it's called a mobile charger that comes with the vehicle, or you can purchase an additional one. You can use that same charger if you go onto a road trip, and let's say you're staying at a hotel somewhere. You can use the same charger, take it with you, plug it into the wall over there. And a lot of hotels and motels now are also offering a little bit faster charging options when you reach there. You just have to call them up and check with them that they've got it and it's available for you to use when you're there. That's sort of basically it on the choosing an electric car and what's coming up into our market. Any questions? Not sure if we have time for questions. The question was, when is the Volkswagen ID3 coming? Nearly 2 years ago, Volkswagen launched Cupra Born, and there's some of them, I think, at this show as well. I asked Volkswagen at that time, when is the ID3 coming, and they couldn't give me a straight answer. Now I think the pressure's on, and if they don't bring those vehicles into our market, they will lose out in a big way. I suspect in the next 6 months or so, I think they want to bring the ID4 SUV first. And then they've also announced the ID Buzz, the Combi, and those sort of vehicles. But hopefully it's soon, because from what I hear, they're shutting factories in Europe because they can't sell enough cars over there. So surely we've got a market here that wants to take them off their hands. I love this, station wagons. Why we have let go of station wagons in our country, I don't understand. Remember the Commodores and the Falcons that we used to have? I'm a big advocate, so when I'm talking to some of the newer brands looking at entering the Australian market, I'm pushing pretty hard that they do bring their station wagons here as well. MG, funnily enough, sells electric station wagons in UK, right-hand drive. Why they're not here? So I'll be talking a bit more closely with the MG team to see if it's possible to bring some of those station wagon models into our market, because not everybody wants an SUV, and they offer same space, practicality. So watch this space. 12 months, we'll have a couple of options. Utes. I was at a show in Melbourne a couple of days ago, and they had, funnily enough, 3 utes there. One was fully electric, 2 were plug-in hybrids. So the plug-in hybrids were those that give you anywhere between 70 to 100 kilometers of electric-only range, and when it runs out of charge, then the petrol engine turns on. So it's a combination of both. For some people, they could work because they'll offer, the same sort of daily trips that you'll be able to do with an electric car. There is one that I saw the other day, and that was from LDV is bringing one in fully electric. I think it's called the e-Tranos 9, and it was a bit of a surprise that I saw that at that particular show, because I didn't know it was coming at all. Q1, there'll be a couple of electric-only options as well as plug-in hybrids. Recycling batteries, there's a lot of work going on, particularly in Victoria and New South Wales. As we get more electric vehicles onto our roads and the batteries do get older, there will be recycling facilities. They're already being set up. They're being done for hybrids that have been around, like the Toyota hybrids have had batteries for a while. They've got recycling centers for those. And there's more and more that's starting to come in place as well. So it will all happen at the same time. The more electric vehicles get onto our roads, because the thing is, batteries are precious, and anything that has value, we have steel recyclers, we have concrete recyclers, we will have battery recyclers recycling in all states and territories. Awesome. Thank you so much.